Well, here's some gotchas. Known issues about container runtimes. Podman is unsupported for now. Docker Desktop is unsupported for now. Distros that emulate Docker through Podman socket are unsupported. Any rootless containerization solution is currently unsupported. So you need
has to be run as root.
Rootful, if you will, containerization.
The best way to run containers, man.
What could go wrong with that? Oh, wait, yes. I think we figured it out.
Ransomware? Okay.
It's got a lot of gotchas. There's a lot of gotchas.
But it's in beta. So, obviously all's forgiven.
Work in progress, triangles.
But, okay, really, really, really cool tech.
I think it's cool. I think it will catch on eventually and do the things, but, no safeguards were put in place here. Coming up in this episode, we got WinBoat drama. We got Ubuntu drama. And we got Flatpak drama. Hello and welcome to Linux User Space. I'm Dan.
And I'm Leo. Dan, you're full of drama today. What is it that brought all this drama to us today? We're not normally a drama show.
We really do not buy into that most of the time, but that seems to be very prevalent as of late in these circles.
Yes, there's drama, but I think there's deeper, interesting conversation topics to have.
Oh, I agree with that.
The drama is extra, just a little extra seasoning on top of the conversation that we're going to have. But it's all drama.
It just seems to be the sentiment on the internet. You just run around and just, yell your claims and, it might be true or it might not be, it could be valid or it might not be. And wow, it takes off. The comment sections in all these places are just unreal to me. Yeah.
So this one is kind of interesting because it kind of brought down a couple of different projects with the accusation of it gave me ransomware, and it didn't. We can blame Windows for that, I think, but we'll get to the explanation as to why we think it was Windows in the first place. But wind the clock back about a few days, and if you go onto Reddit and then it looked to me like right about the same time, the same claim was made on GitHub as well, that someone had installed this really cool application thing, container thing, whatever, called WinBoat. So before we get into what actually happened, WinBoat is a really cool container technology that allows you to run Windows on top of Docker to run Windows apps natively on Linux. That's a mouthful, but
that's a lot. Yeah, but it's cool.
Really cool. Like this is the kind of thing, I think in their FAQ, down at the very bottom, the question of, can I run Office 365? There was no explanation, just yes.
Yes.
And that, I think, is the cool stuff that happens in Linux land all the time when you have a problem to solve. And the problem to solve is, can I run Office? Can I run Photoshop? The apps that everybody says, well, I'll move over to Linux when Photoshop. Well, guess what? Well, maybe not Photoshop, but Office, because I've heard that argument plenty of times.
And there's a few applications that kind of do some similar things, right? I mean, obviously, Wine has existed since the beginning of time, almost, right?
But they're emulating Linux.
It's not an emulator, though.
Right.
But
it's
then
in
there's
the name.
But then there's Bottles is also another one that kind of does some of these things. You can run some apps, Windows apps through with that.
Which is Wine with individual configuration files for the application, right? I think
so. Yes, and but it's easier to configure and whatnot too.
Yes,
so
and a
all
lot of
these
it's
things,
pre-configured. Yeah,
right. So all these things kind of make it a little easier every step of the way you go, and then obviously you've got WinBoat, which is kind of new to the game, and it does some cool things, especially because it's containerized. But it still has access to your file system, and so there's some, you can cross the streams, if you will, and that's where I think they got into a little bit of the trouble. I think that's where some of the trouble originated.
Right. So we'll talk a little bit more about WinBoat here in just a minute, but we got to get back to the drama about why this is what's interesting about this is how we learned about WinBoat. Didn't know it was a thing.
We had to reverse engineer all that.
Yeah. Okay. So a few days ago, someone went onto Reddit and onto GitHub and basically made a claim that said that FreeRDP, the FreeRDP PPA, or one FreeRDP PPA in Launchpad, was serving up malware. And not just any malware, but ransomware. So someone had gone around installing a few FreeRDP packages because it's required by WinBoat, and stumbled upon one that did end up working, and then after a few days, their computer is now locked up with ransomware.
Ransomware, yeah.
Right. So it turns out not actually quite true at all. It wasn't FreeRDP.
Or WinBoat.
Exactly. Yeah. So pretty quickly after the claim, the initial claim, those so the FreeRDP PPA is still down as we record this. Not the official FreeRDP PPA, the bespoke one. So we've got an article that should have passed up on the screen by now, and if you're in the audio version, we have a link to that article where you can go find the PPA in question. But it is still down as of the recording. So their reputation is at least slightly tarnished.
Or they're not going to show back up again. Yeah, because they're feeling shame.
Yeah, well, Launchpad doesn't trust them, and I guess that's, I mean, in a situation like this, I can see why.
Yep, I can see why you take it down, yeah.
But the files in the PPA were thrown into VirusTotal, and we got nothing back. So that happened pretty quickly.
Several researchers have poked at this and not found anything, essentially.
Right. So we can be 99.9% sure that it had nothing to do with FreeRDP or any of the offshoots of the FreeRDP PPA that was serving up FreeRDP. It doesn't look like it was FreeRDP at all. But yet FreeRDP seemed to have gotten all the flack on this. But
and I'll also say that the original poster who had the problems has since said, I'm very sorry for all of the backlash that has happened.
Whoops.
It turns out it wasn't that at all. So, but the damage is done.
Right. So as Dan and I were digging into this, it started to look more like not an individual application error and more foot gun.
Yeah. And maybe the way the defaults are set up.
Right. So the way that WinBoat works, which is really, really cool, by the way.
It is cool.
It is. So it's running on top of Docker, and it's a VM. So a Windows VM running inside of a Docker container on top of Linux. And it's got to be rootful.
Yeah, which makes total sense because it's a VM inside, so it's virtual machine inside containerization. So it makes sense that you need a root access to do those things because it's nested.
Right. Exactly. But as you start poking around, you realize that by default, if you've ever brought up a Docker container, you would likely know that by default, Docker listens globally on all of your ports and all of your IPs.
Yeah, whatever you have available. Yeah.
Yeah, for connections to that container, whatever that container might be, right? So you bring up a web server. The web server is available to anybody and everybody, local or not.
Right.
And that's pretty much what happens here as well. So as you start digging and the details start flowing, you realize that this person not only was running WinBoat, which is Windows, like a real version of Windows essentially on their Linux machine. This Linux machine had a publicly exposed IP. And if you put two and two together, what I was talking about before, WinBoat runs in Docker. Docker listens globally by default. If there's no firewall or additional configuration preventing this global listening, that means Windows, you're essentially stripped down. WinBoat is a stripped down version of Windows that just runs the application. But this stripped down version of Windows is, at least in this person's case, on the internet.
Yeah, out on the internet with nothing in between. Nothing in between.
Oh no.
Yeah, bad.
And then it becomes quickly apparent what really happened. How ransomware infected this person's Linux machine. It doesn't look like it was FreeRDP.
And it doesn't seem like it's WinBoat necessarily, just the fact that, it was out there.
Right. I mean, I guess you could argue that WinBoat is shipping an unsecure-ish version of Windows. Like, I guess you could make that argument, but...
So really, if you're going to make this, if you're running it locally on your machine, I would just make it so it listened to your local machine, right? So 127.0.0.1, so that, it only accepted incoming connections from the machine itself. And then, anything from the external wouldn't hit it, and you'd be all set. That's exactly a real easy fix. But as Leo pointed out, you might want to be able to do this remotely from another machine,
right?
So if you're doing that, then I think you gotta learn how to finagle the Docker networking stuff so that you could scope it to a certain subnet or something so that it only existed on your local LAN, perhaps, or something like that.
But this is why this right here, like what you just said,
that's a lot. That's a lot.
This is exactly why it's a foot gun, right? This is exactly why you're going to blow your feet off when you try to use something like this and you just happen to be connected.
Like you don't even have like a NAT firewall in front of you, like a home router or something. You're just plugged in raw.
Yeah. We do this experiment with Windows boxes, no firewall, no nothing or whatever. You just put them out directly on the internet and just see how long it takes. And it doesn't take very long, especially if you have things like SMBv1 turned on, the original implementation of server message blocker. We call it SIFs now, but the Windows sharing protocol. It doesn't take long, not at all. And this smacks to me of, because you could solve it with a simple configuration change, right? Because as Dan was saying, if you just listen locally, only for connections from the originating machine, essentially 127.0.0.1, right? Home, me, this machine. Mm-hmm. Then you would fix this problem. So it kind of it could be changed with a simple configuration on WinBoat's side. So it really kind of smacks to me of setting admin on your router.
Right.
It doesn't have to be this way. You could totally auto-generate a password to fill into there. Sure, keep it admin. That's still not ideal, but you could be in such a better position if your password wasn't also admin. And by enforcing it, by not even giving people the opportunity to oopsie, you are giving them security. You're forcing them to have it, and it's not that bad to have to write down a password and stick it under your router or something like that, right?
I would take that a step further and actually force them to change said default that you shipped with the thing. Like, even if you put a label on it, it's got admin garbledygook password, and then force them to change that on first login. I think that would take it yet another step.
Yeah, because how many times have we heard of, it turns out that the random number generator that you had wasn't actually random, and we can totally guess the randomized password just if we know what time you generated your password. Ha! Well, right, by forcing the password change, Dan, that's not an issue.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think the random thing is a bad place to start, but just absolutely force something else.
Yes. I mean, it's a huge step up, right? And this is the same way. So WinBoat is the same way, where if you just forced it to listen to local connections only, you would never run into this problem.
Right.
That we didn't know was a problem, granted, right? Who does that?
I mean, I guess this is a way to find out.
This person, right? Obviously. So bugs you didn't know you needed to fix, right? Of course. Yep. But now that we know that local listening is really, really paramount here, and you could fix a whole slew of issues that come along with it. So the other way to deal with these things, Dan, you mentioned the firewall. So
That's great.
You,
So in Linux, like most distributions, they actually don't enable the firewall out of the gate. But I mean, I think that's a pretty easy way to solve this problem too. Your host system, if you turned on I'm assuming it's Debian or Ubuntu, right? So UFW is an option there. It comes in pre-installed. All you need to do is enable it and job done, fixed there too. And that'll probably prevent you from getting all sorts of other things, not just things that are happening to WinBoat, right?
Exactly. But I think so the real difficulty in fixing these kinds of things, right, at least on the user side, is again why they're called foot guns, is that the user has to, number one, know that these are issues, that these are, I could get knocked over like this, or this potentially could happen, and that would be really, really bad. So of course, number one is the education part, which do we really spend a lot of time when you're shown a cool, flashy WinBoat thing that lets you run your Windows applications? Your first thought is not, well, let's dig into its security footprint and actually see what kinds of things I might run into. No, it's, oh my God, Windows apps on my, let's go. And it's already installed and you put it on the public internet. Whoops. So,
And like, this is very likely someone that's a refugee from like Windows 10 or something, right? They're trying to get off of the Windows and onto Linux. So,
and then boom, ransomware.
What kind of service did we do for them, right? Because we didn't teach them how to be safe. It's like Norm Abrams used to say in the New Yankee Workshop. Every episode when he started off, he said, "Let's take a minute to talk about shop safety."
Yeah,
which is good before you go turning on the power tools, right?
You put your goggles on and make sure your saw stop is working.
Exactly.
Yeah, but right, again, I think, computers don't feel like table saws, so it's very easy to just be like, double click, pipe to bash here and whatever, and you end up
sudo pipe to bash. Let's go.
right. And the famous Linus one, when it Linus where he installed Pop! OS and then installed Steam, and then it was like, delete your desktop,
the whole thing. Just take it right out, rip it out.
Right. So I guess this is more of a plea to WinBoat. Make this change.
It's simple enough. Yep.
Put a checkbox or something in, or a question in the installation process, where it says, "Do you want this to listen publicly?" And you can go back and check that box. If for some reason you decide you need to listen globally, not publicly, but globally, then okay, cool. But let that be a conscious choice, right? So remove a foot gun from this situation. Yeah, that would be, I think, the ideal way. Because otherwise, you're asking users to, learn a little bit about Docker and why it does by default, why it listens globally by default, and then how to actually change that default listening behavior so that it only listens locally. No, you're already way too far off into the weeds. Nobody got time for that. So, quick config change, I think, would solve this altogether. It's really cool, though.
I'm kind of interested. I don't know. I mean, I don't run a lot of Windows things, but I got a couple of apps that kind of could be helpful. Yeah.
I want to see how good it actually is. So that's one thing that I didn't do. Yeah. Well, see, I would imagine the performance is near native. I know it's in a VM. WinBoat runs Windows, a stripped down version of Windows in a VM inside of a container. So obviously there's overhead, but the container overhead will be very minimal. And the VM overhead, I don't imagine would be
not too bad.
Huge. I didn't look into see what kind of hypervisor they use. Like how are they running the VM inside of the container is an interesting question that I don't have an answer to right now, but I'll be digging into later. Because that would give you a better idea of what the VM overhead would actually look like. But even at a 20% overhead, right, you're only getting 80% of the performance out of it. I still think that's going to be more than enough for most people to be able to say.
You're only running one app. So, I mean, it might not be so bad.
Right. Exactly. I mean, and that was me being... not generous at all, 20%. Because most VMs don't have that much overhead.
No, it seems like a lot, yeah.
Yeah, so I think, I don't know, at least the idea
I'm
of
interested.
this is really cool.
You got me hooked.
Yeah. Definitely. So stay tuned. There'll probably be another conversation about WinBoat, mostly because I want to follow up and see, does it still listen globally?
Yeah.
So anyway, there was a slightly happy ending to the ransomware story as well. Well, the guy still has ransomware, so you still have to deal with that. But that we found out, I guess, or at least we are mostly convinced that it's just letting Windows onto the internet without a firewall is a very, very bad idea, because you'll end up with ransomware on your machine, and that can extend, in a case like WinBoat's, to the underlying Linux system. So everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
So we confirmed what we already knew.
Yeah. So the happy ending is it's not FreeRDP's fault. And
Nope.
I guess the other slightly happy ending is it's not directly 100% WinBoat's fault either. And really the point I'm trying to make is Windows sucks. That's the happy ending.
That's pretty good stuff, yeah.
So you might be watching this one on YouTube, but if you're listening to this, remember that these things do come out on YouTube, the whole entire episode, as well as the individual segments, the one that you just listened to, as well as they do show up over on Tilvids as well. So if you're looking for that edutainment stuff, if you're looking for just good content on a federated video platform, Tilvids is the place that you want to be. So definitely go over there, check out Tilvids, subscribe to us over on Tilvids. There was recently, I don't know what it was, but we had the amount of followers we had on Tilvids to our account was equal to the amount that we have on Mastodon on our main Mastodon.social account. And then one day I looked and it was half. It got cut in half. I don't know what happened. I wonder if we defederated from some place or something.
That's weird.
I don't know, but it seems like we've got steady growth over there. So there's lots of people checking us out over on Tilvid. So appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed to us over there, make sure to do that. I guess you can subscribe to us on YouTube too if you want to. But
sure, yeah, absolutely.
Set all the bells and notifications and do all that, whatever. But Tilvid seems to be the place to be. I like being over there.
I do too.
So check us out over there if you want to see our smiling faces on either of those platforms. But you can also, if you really, really like the show, so much so that you might want to part with $1 or $2, you can subscribe to us or patronize us. I don't know, whatever you do over on Patreon to send people money. You can do that to us over on Patreon, and it's not for nothing. Turns out that if you're just a free user, you don't even have to pay us money. You can get into the free user thing, and you will get the episode 3 hours before anybody else. So you get, if you spend, so you get that 3 hour before anybody else. If you spend $1, you get access to our patron user space, which I'm trying something out right now over in patron user space. We've never shared. Yeah, we've never shared our show notes before. So
before we publish, yeah.
Oh, actually, yeah, that's right. So we do, like when we publish the episode, they're cleaned up though. I
always clean it up. Yeah, I kind of condense it down and just kind of put in links and whatnot. But we have a brainstorm document, basically, is what this amounts to. And so we've never published that prior to going live and doing this.
Right. So I think I'm going to keep doing that. But so all I'm doing is I'm grabbing the markdown version, which you can view in Discord right there. You don't have to actually have some kind of markdown reader or anything like that. You could if you wanted. But I'm downloading the markdown and then just throwing it into patron user space, which is a paid patron only space. So this is where we put all of our fun stuff. Anything that is for patrons only, essentially, that is not necessarily like a whole Patreon post or something like that.
Right.
But so also for $1, when I'm done editing the audio version of the show, which is usually at least a day, prior, right? So you can get early access there. You don't get like the writing that I do in Patreon or anything like that, but basically it's a way for me to share the audio with Dan, but now I'm doing it in the patron space. So the moment it's done, you get access to that. And that's just for $1, right? So if you get, if you do $3, you get early access to the show, all of the writing, all of the rambling, and all of that kind of fun stuff, and a high quality version of the episode. $5 gets you access to the whole entire thing, the whole recording, all of it. So from the moment we press record to the moment we're done, the audio version of that. And then for $10, you get the video version of that, same thing, but you also get to sit in here while we do the recording. So if any of those tickle your fancy, go sign up.
Yeah, go check it out.
I don't know if you can sign up to all of them. I don't know. I guess the highest tier is all of them.
Well, if you get the highest tier, you get everything.
You get everything. So anyway, consider it, appreciate it, and we'll see you soon.
So this next drama episode, so you're switching to your website to a static site. I mean, what's that? You forgot to tell everyone? Oh no, your project is doomed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the doom and gloom on the internet about this was quite fast and
quick,
very pointed. It was not great. So this is Ubuntu recently, and I'm going to say upgraded their website.
Yeah, definitely. They switched away from WordPress to a static site. Using Hugo. I think that's the thing they chose for their static
Hugo
site
is
generator.
all the rage. It's like
it's
the
great.
Static website builder. I guess anybody that's cool and has a static website seems to build it with Hugo. I think Jekyll was a thing for a little while, but
Jekyll's
it doesn't seem like. Yeah, but I don't.
It's still a thing. I think. I mean, like GitHub pages kind of defaults to that. I think.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's why I know it so well.
Yeah.
But so Ubuntu did this, but yeah, they forgot to say anything about
they forgot
it.
To post
so
it. Yeah. Whoops.
So when you in this transition time, when you went to Ubuntu, the website, it showed up and it looked a lot like their certificate had expired, right? And then, and my first thought was, oh, here we go again. Someone's certificate expired. I thought, why don't you have automation for this if it's going to expire? Right. But it turns out that wasn't it at all.
It totally was automated. Well, no, it was totally automated. It was a placeholder and it was running Caddy, which Caddy by default has already got the automation, in it. So I'm thinking, what happened is they didn't have the redirect parts, necessarily, and the DNS stuff. Those things all take time to transition, especially DNS, to filter out to the whole entire internet to get things pointed in the right direction. So I'm guessing those things just didn't happen at the time that they hoped they would. More or less?
Well, the transition took, it seems to me, about 3 days. Or at least that's how long it took for them to, from the initial reports of, oh my God, Ubuntu's on fire, to the announcement of, hey guys, we have a new website at Ubuntu. There was a 3-day lag. And I think that right there, that was enough.
That would have solved the problem, probably.
To start the rumor mill of, something's crazy. They've gotten hacked. Their website's offline. Their certificate's expired. Who knows what's going on? I don't know. And so
that's it. I'm installing Arch now.
And that was the craziest take I saw on the entire thing. It
was crazy.
I'm leaving you, Ubuntu, because your certificate expired. I mean, I guess the argument is like, well, if you're not paying attention enough to know that your certificate expired, then you're probably not paying enough attention to the distro itself, even though a lot of times it's not even the same people dealing with that
definitely
stuff.
Probably not. Yeah, that seems unlikely that it would be the same people necessarily.
What a wild take. What a wild take that is, to uproot everything, to move from Ubuntu to some other distro with presumably Plasma, I guess.
Probably.
But what a wild take, man. That's going a little far. But
there was a lot of comments on the articles that got posted, so I'll link as many as I can. I think there actually was a Reddit post that seemingly disappeared too that I can't find anymore. So it just just to pile on, but ultimately there was a discourse post on the Ubuntu.com discourse, right?
Right.
And that was the actual announcement that we got a new page. We've done some things. And hey, there were AI imagery. Those were just placeholders. Hold on.
That was a secondary drama.
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
What ended up happening, right? Like, so as the Ubuntu website was coming back up, in like maybe day 2 or something, it was coming back up, and like the banner in the background, and then the first image that you saw on the actual body of the page were quite obviously AI generated, and that just added fuel to the fire. There's not been an announcement up to this point, right? That just adds fuel to the fire. They're definitely hacked at this point. Because it's AI generated whatever. They're just trying to fool us. They're trying to get us to download. I mean, we're just coming off of the Ubuntu thing.
Yeah.
Right? Their WordPress was, So, and then one of the links was changed to a zip file or whatever to download a virus. Like, okay. And so we're just coming off of that. And then you throw the AI generated images on there, it just adds fuel.
We put matches and gasoline together is what we did.
To yes. And so if the rumor mill hadn't started at that point, it definitely would have now. But the next, in 2 days, this is the post you're talking about, Dan, the new Ubuntu.org website. And I love how it starts out. It is, as some of you have noted, well,
some?
Yeah, it was quite a few, and I wouldn't use noted as the descriptor there, but yeah, so we've recently soft launched a brand new Ubuntu website, and we're excited to announce that the entire site code is now fully open source and available on GitHub. This is all a good thing, by the way. This is all fantastic.
It is a good thing. I really do like the new page, honestly, but
this gives people the ability to, when they look at the website and they're like, oh, that's not right, you can actually go and fix it. You can contribute using your GitHub account to fix things. Oh, there's a typo here. Oh, you need an indent there. Oh, that doesn't have the right spacing. Hey, now it's a collaborative effort. You can actually go and fix this stuff. So I think ultimately,
in the end, this is going to be good.
Yeah, it's already fantastic, but now it's even better. So but they do note the AI generated images, right? So and it's a good explanation, but they say we chose a soft launch so we can enable features and polish the designs as we go. That's why we started with AI generated placeholder images. They'll be replaced with proper Ubuntu artwork very soon. So, okay.
Fear not, AI's not taking over.
Right. I'll give you credit on this one too, because I think if there's ever a good use of an AI generated image, it's a placeholder image that's only going to be there for a day or two, right? Yeah. So I'm not a huge fan of AI generated images, but I think I can get behind, right? I mean, you don't want to pay an artist to spend a lot of time on an image that's going to be immediately chucked. You know what I mean? And if you're trying to do this, like,
well, you used to go grab clip art and stuff like that, right? From, free places, and that wasn't very good either, by the way.
I feel like Ubuntu has permission, surely, from Plasma to use Conky, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably. But I mean, you got to put something up there. So I totally get where they're coming from. This just seems to be the go-to these days to grab your placeholder type things and whatnots.
I get it, but like, I'm positive there's like 100 different conkies out there. I know there's a conky in a hard hat. I know there is. Yeah. So, I mean, again, it's an okay use of AI generated images or whatever.
But hey, that's probably something you could contribute to. New artwork.
I'll just AI generate some artwork and then throw.
No. That's not what I'm saying. Like actual artwork created by people.
That actually is true. Yes.
Totally go contribute that if you find that stuff troublesome, right? I'm sure.
Absolutely.
I listen. I know as someone that's been involved in one of the Ubuntu flavors, artists are really hard to come by. Like people, you don't get a lot of that stuff. And so if that's your jam, there's places for you. I have no doubt.
Yep, definitely. I think that's probably why the Ubuntu team reached immediately to an AI generated image to just chuck up there, as opposed to reaching for art or whatever, because they may not have a dedicated guy to ask to say, hey, could you whip me something up real
Most
quick?
Most of us don't.
And
yeah,
exactly right. So I mean, I get it, I understand it, and again, it's an okay use of an AI generated image, but Conky in a hard hat's just cute, man.
That's true. Well, I mean, Ubuntu, we got Lenny, but nobody's creating new Lennys, so we just rely on the old guy. I mean, Lenny Claus, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, so so the person that made the original Lenny is still around? Might
he's around.
They still...
He's just not contributing anymore to. He's moved on to other projects essentially.
Interesting. Okay.
So
okay.
But you get the idea. I mean, that's sort of what happens, right? People's interests change over time, and while you might have someone right now, there really isn't a lot to go around, and it's hard. Art is the hardest for us. I can tell you that.
That's really funny. The code's not hard. The automation's not hard. I mean, I know that it is, but all this is not. It's the art that's hard.
It's art. Yeah, art. Yeah.
No
joke.
Man.
I'm not kidding.
Well, that all turned out to be a whole lot of nothing as well. Just a transition. There wasn't any kind of nefarious whatever. It was hey, we're seeing WordPresses get knocked over all of the time. Maybe we want to do a static site kind of thing. But
it's a good plan.
Hopefully the lesson learned here on the Ubuntu side was announce 3 days before you do it, not 3 days after you do it.
Yeah, because then even if people run to Mastodon or Reddit or whatever, you can point to the official, post that you made and say, hey, look, we really are doing something here. You just hang on. We'll let you know.
Right. That would be ideal.
Yep.
So catch these and other great topics as they unfold on our Lemmy, our subreddit, our news channel on Discord. So we've got all kinds of places, right? Lemmy, subreddit, Discord. Obviously, the Lemmy and the Discord are tied together. So when we post something on Lemmy, it goes straight to Discord, and there's a news channel you can just watch. So you can just watch that if you want to. But if you want to participate, I guess you could always copy it down to one of the channels in Discord and talk about it. But there's also, right, like I said,
threads.
Lemmy and
you can do threads.
Reddit.
You can spin off and do a thread on those too.
That's right. Actually, I wonder, I don't know why I don't do that more often, actually, is just thread off of one of those news stories. That would actually be a really good place for that. Do people look at that? That's the question. Interesting. Okay.
Well, they show up in our user space, so I'm sure.
I'll do some experiments over the next few days. But it seems Lemmy is still booming, other than the fact that, hey, do you know, actually, is it AI? Is it DDoS? Do you happen to know?
Yeah, because it's kind of quieted down.
Yeah, it's slowed a bit. So,
I think it might have been AI scraping.
So, speaking of Lemmy, we were experiencing a bit of downtime with Lemmy, like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up,
down.
And
like
it was
a lot.
And you were saying it was kind of being left on red.
The logs. Yeah.
Yeah. With TCP connections, right? So that are just not getting fulfilled. So essentially, regardless of what it was in effect a TLS or a TCP DOS.
Sort of a DOS. Yeah.
I hesitate to say attack because I don't know if it was someone attacking.
I don't think it was attack either, but I do think it was like AI scraping. So it was just a lot of sessions that were happening. And,
Either
it just
that
overwhelmed it, and it filled up the log. And then once it filled up the log, then the whole server stopped because then it filled up the drive. And so then I had to keep going in and deleting logs out. And yeah, it was fun for a while.
Yeah.
When I say fill up logs, I mean like
the disk.
5 gig worth of log file.
So it's either total mistake or getting scraped by AI or whatever, or someone's jealous that we're getting so big on Lemmy.
If AI could be smarter and just subscribe, they wouldn't have to scrape the stuff.
They could just read the RSS. You can RSS subscribe. You don't even have to interact with the server. We send it to you.
We'll just get it right in their face.
That's one of the coolest things about Lemmy, right? If you don't care to actually interact, you can just subscribe to the Lemmy RSS and you will get our news feed straight to your RSS. You don't even need applications to do this. It's really cool. Lemmy's just so super cool. I love it so much.
Yeah, the Fediverse is cool like that.
I know. It's so good. So if you're not a Lemmy or Reddit or a Discord fan, we are also over on Mastodon. We'll chatter to you on Telegram, on Matrix. We also post over on Twitch and Twitter. And I think the announcements also go out on Threads and
Blue Sky?
Blue Sky.
We do Blue Sky?
I need to add that to the list. So yeah. So the announcements will go out on Blue Sky as well. So yeah, all that good stuff. So go find us somewhere. We're all over the place.
Yeah, Linux user space, most places.
Yep, you will find us with that name. Just type it all in one word, and you'll find us. If we're there, you'll find it.
All right, so this one is sort of a continuation of a topic we talked about previously.
It very much is.
With the Flatpak thing in Fedora. So Fedora has their own Flatpak repo as opposed to FlatHub, which has like most everything, right? In the Fedora Flatpak repo, it appears that they were just kind of copy pasta the manifest over and then building said Flatpaks all over again.
Right. So hold on, let's rewind a little bit. So the OBS thing was something that we covered in a previous episode where the Fedora Flatpak repository, I guess you could call it, was essentially rebuilding OBS, but because there were some...
they made some changes to it, though, too, and the cadence was different, right?
Right, and so the libraries on the back end that OBS was using in that repo weren't exactly correct, so OBS would crash sometimes. Yep. And what would happen was Fedora people would see it crash and be like, "Ooh, I can file a bug," as you should, but they go straight to OBS because the behavior with OBS is we're going to create the Flatpak in FlatHub. And I think there's a bit of a conflation on Fedora where it's like, well, I'm just grabbing one. It's an OBS, whatever. I'm sure it's FlatHub, and so they go and open up an issue at OBS. But then OBS finds out that's not what we build. That's not us. Those libraries are wrong. We're not going to help you. And so everybody's getting into this weird situation of he said, she said. Someone's pointing at everybody, and OBS is just like, fine, we just won't. Like, we don't want you building it at all. And so it's more of a, kind of, I'll take my toys and move over here. Well, that got resolved. Everything was kosher on that end until what Dan is talking about here. So
more recently, it appears, and I don't think OBS was the one in this particular instance lately. I think it was just discovered that some of the packages that are in the Flatpak repo for Fedora are just basically copies of the manifest and getting rebuilt.
Yeah, the original complaint that I saw that kind of made me want to dig deeper on this and figure out what the heck is actually going on is an indeterminate amount of their packages, meaning Fedora's Flatpak repository, are in fact directly based on existing manifests from FlatHub. not by manually inspecting code themselves, rather by running a script which goes through FlatHub's APIs and parses the respective app's manifest to generate manifests for Fedora Flatpaks. So, in normal people speak, Fedora was reaching into FlatHub's repository and getting their build instructions, copying those over to Fedora, and then just using those instructions. So
they actually made a script to do that stuff.
Right. So it was intentional, absolutely. But this is making use of other people's work, and then on top of that, not crediting those people for the work that they did. But my whole question with all of this is, especially after the OBS thing, I was already starting to ask, like, why does it exist? The Fedora Flatpak thing. And the answer used to be that, well, those are actually just the RPMs that are in the Fedora repositories, and they're just Flatpacked up and made available through Flatpak because we want everything to work as a Flatpak, and because we have the atomics and everything else, so we're basically just making sure everything works. And that was a very good reason for the Flatpak Fedora thing to exist. I think it should still exist in that capacity. But it looks like that's not their MO anymore. It looks like now they might still be doing the RPM thing, but it also looks like they're just taking everything that exists on FlatHub and making it exist in Fedora, in the Fedora Flatpak repository, which that doesn't make sense to me. Why would you do that?
There's a very long discourse post, or what do we call this over here in discussion in Fedora land, which is basically discourse. And one of the comments is actually from the Fedora project leader, the current one. I guess some of the reason why they build their own things is because of architecture. So FlatHub is primarily x86, right?
Right.
Which is cool. But there's some other architectures that they want to target for things. And so that was why they wanted to build. They wanted to have their own builds, more or less. I'm paraphrasing a lot with that.
Okay. So assuming...
But outside of that, I don't know why, right? I don't know why.
Okay, so what you've described is a good reason to rebuild.
Yeah.
All right. But why would you rebuild the ones that already exist?
I don't. That's what I'm saying.
Right. So,
yes.
so that's my big issue with that. So if that's really, the backing up reason for that, I think it's a good reason. But yeah, why would you rebuild the things that already exist in FlatHub? You're just going to end up with another OBS situation. Something's going to break, and it won't be FlatHub's fault. It'll be, oh no, somehow the automation messed up the manifest. Something went wrong or whatever, and we have a broken build, but they don't. And now they're getting GitHub issues because they need to fix it, but they don't because it's not their issue. So, like building it for ARM64, cool. That doesn't exist, but you need to make it absolutely 1,000% readily apparent that the issues for that application go to Fedora. You need to make that apparent, right? When you're installing it in GNOME software or wherever you're installing it, it needs to stop you and say, this isn't official. You need to talk to Fedora about this if there's anything wrong with the package.
Yeah, and even if there was a way to, click here to file your bug or something would be cool.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know if that's possible or not, but you might be able to. There might be a way to do that, right?
Yeah.
At least, though, like if you look at FlatHub has a really decent web page that goes along with it, where it has descriptions and whatnot with the for all the applications that they publish. And in that, they also have links to where you file bugs. And so... Right.
Very important.
I think that's... Yeah, it's pretty great, right? I think that is really important.
Yeah, so there's that. And then, I guess speaking of salt in the wounds, but you didn't attribute the manifest work, the build work, all the hard work that goes into getting applications into FlatHub.
Yeah, and that's not the application. That still has its own, license, copyright, all of that stuff intact.
Right.
It's the manifest part, because that is also something that is open, and needs attribution, too.
Yeah.
Much like deb files, like you create a deb file and like those are just build instructions. But someone created all of that stuff and tested it and built it and
right.
Their name goes on the copyright or their project's name goes on the copyright.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't want to say that it's like, oh, some crazy license violation or anything like that. Just it's not nice.
It's a little, it's a little,
Right. I mean, this is we're open source, man. We do this thing collaboratively. There's a whole entire ethos behind that. Especially coming from Fedora, there is a huge push to be collaborative. This is not very collaborative. So, in my thought process says, if you want to take something from FlatHub or whatever, you should be able to, absolutely. But you should work with the people over at FlatHub to make it seamless, to make it a good transition, to ask what the pitfalls might be, to just get the best product out that you possibly can, and again, avoid another OBS situation. Because, just scraping the manifests and using them to rebuild, you're going to end up with something very, very weird. And then you throw in the hurt feelings on top of that. It makes people not want to work with you. This is the kind of behavior that it wasn't a good choice, but that Redis used when they changed their licensing because Amazon was ripping them off, like, were they ripping them off? Not according to the license, but right. So it causes animosity, and
intentional or not. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. In a collaborative environment, you want to avoid that at all costs. And I think this was kind of an easy one to avoid. But we didn't avoid
easy enough, right?
Right. So, but I guess my takeaway from this is that just gives me, as long as I'm running on x86 architecture, right? That just gives me the license to say, yup, FlatHub is definitively the absolute one-stop shop, best place to go every single time you ever want a Flatpak for anything on any platform whatsoever. FlatHub is the place to go because even Fedora steals from FlatHub.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I guess there could be good, valid reasons, but I don't know.
The architecture thing really is a good reason, but I think you need to work with the FlatHub folks.
Right. And like, I know there's other Flatpak repos too, like Elementary has their own, right?
Yes.
And they but they only...
But there's not an overlap. They're not doing this.
They're publishing their, tools and applications right there. And
that's the important thing there, yeah.
And I think that's a good takeaway, right? They're doing the things that they need for their distribution. And that makes total sense to me. So I guess here's my question. Did they get it right with snaps?
Uh-oh. Okay. It's a good question. So I guess what you mean by that is like a one-stop shop store for everything.
Only one
right?
store, right? Everybody's got the one store.
Now you're gonna inflame all of the people already because
you don't need to answer it. It's rhetorical, all right? But you get it.
No, I'm gonna answer it.
Okay, fair enough.
Like you could, right? That's the whole sore spot, is that you totally could make a totally different server store thing implementation.
You can.
There's
a
proof of concept out there, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole canonical line. You totally could if you wanted. But to be honest with you, I think they did. And I think
there it is.
I think on the Flatpak side, FlatHub is it. And
it probably should be, unless you have specialized things. Yeah.
Right. If there's going to be an overlap, like what Fedora is doing, concede. Concede that you lost and just pull from FlatHub. Make it default. I get it. There's issues with that. There's safety issues, concerns, and things like that. Put a big old warning or whatever before you enable it, because it's super easy to enable it in Fedora, right? And there's a lot of There's a lot of Fedora spins that just do and don't say anything. Like, I mean, Bluefin is one of them. I'm fine with that. It's not a Fedora app. I get that. I mean, the people that are working on Bluefin don't make those apps. I get that too. But again, maybe potential foot gun issue there. But
it could be.
Still, I think that's right. But I'll go you one further, Dan. We were talking about Android a little while ago and how Google is making some big money moves, pushing out distribution avenues like F-Droid. What you're saying about Snap, you kind of also have to own it with the Google Play Store. Should there just be one?
Oh.
You stepped in it, Dan. This is why I agreed with you, just so we could go down this rabbit hole together. We're going to go down in flames together.
Fair enough. But I guess just like, snaps and Flatpaks, you can kind of sideload those too. You can do,
True.
A dangerous snap, install thingy, even if you built your own, right? I mean, more or less. So, I mean, I guess why not with Android, right? I mean, I think having the one store, is the place is probably got some validity. Everybody's watching it for safety reasons and making sure if something harmful was to get put there, it'd get taken down really quickly. And you've only got one place to go to strip it out. I mean, so kind of could be good. But ultimately, as long as you've still got that way to get, the thing you've developed or, someone close to you has and you want to test, as long as you've got a way to get that installed, I think I'm okay with it. Yeah. Just, when you do that, it's not the official source, right?
Right. And I think that's the big difference, right, between Snap and the Google Play Store is that Google Play is really doing their best job to kind of scoot out other avenues of installing software, right? Like, But as Dan said, you can install a Snap that doesn't come from the Snap store. No one's stopping you from doing that. You have to type -- dangerous probably, but other than that, but no one's stopping you from doing that. And same with a Flatpak manifest. If you were able to build the application and not
build your
bring
own
it through FlatHub. Yeah, exactly. And you would still be able to install them or whatever. So that's the big defining factor there is that no one's stopping you on the other platforms, but F-Droid's really kind of getting done dirty in that situation. So, but I do still think you're right. I mean, I think the community has decided that you're right. Everybody knows to go to FlatHub. If you know what a Flatpak is, if you know that the thing that you want is a Flatpak, I know your first thought is FlatHub. I know it. So, if you don't care where your apps come from or don't know what a Flatpak is, none of it matters. You just go to the store and click install. But Fedora is doing a bit of a disservice because of, I would imagine the Fedora packaged Flatpaks are higher up in precedence than the FlatHub.
Yeah,
one.
they
So if
totally
they're doing
are.
the rebuild thing, if they're doing the rebuild thing, you're getting the Fedora version, not the FlatHub version, which boils down to,
then you got to sift through and figure out which one you want, right?
Right, but I'm thinking
if you're
most
using the
people don't.
graphical installer, like you can sift through and
Yeah, it's
find.
a drop down.
Yeah, but you have to consciously do that.
Right, and I know there's a contingent of people that just do not care. So
No, they just hit the install button. They're not even looking at where it's coming from.
Right, and so there's a bit of a stolen manifest. So not a good look, I don't think.
Yeah, so they didn't steal the cake. They just stole the recipe.
Right. Yeah, when you put it that way, we don't really credit a whole lot of recipe writers, do we?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, not sure.
I've made a whole lot of pies in my life, and I didn't write a single one of those recipes. And I don't know the names of the people that I took that recipe from.
Yeah,
so
that could be. Yeah, it's possible.
One in favor of Fedora. You've done it, Dan. I think you've backed Fedora up. So all the hate mail to Dan.
No.
Anyway, be more collaborative. That's kind of the takeaway.
Yeah, I think that's the takeaway.
This could have all been avoided had you sent a few emails and done a little collaborative work. I think you'd sidestep pretty much all of this. But anyway, if you want to find all of the links, all of the things that we've talked about in this show, in previous shows, and all of the shows, you can go to linuxuserspace.show. This episode will be linuxuserspace.show/604. Find all the links that we talked about in this episode. If you want other episodes, season number, episode number. So linuxuserspace.show/ if you want season 3, episode 5, that's 305. Just punch in the number, you'll find it. And if you want to get on the show, not physically, but your words, you can send us an email at contact@linuxuserspace.show. All of your words, some of your words, as long as it's coherent, we'll get it onto the show. We'll talk about it a little bit, especially if you've got a weird way of doing things. Or do you use WinBoat? I want to know what your experience is.
Let us know on that one.
But also don't expose it to the internet naked. That would be apparently a bad thing. You get ransomware that way. So don't do that. But let us know. And if you don't have an email address, what are you, living under a rock? You can go to linuxuserspace.show/contact and send us an email that way. You don't need an email address. You just need to fill out a little bit of information, the message you want to send to us, and click go. We'll get that into our email inbox as well. So it's just as good as an email without having to type our email address. Hey, that's not fair. You should type our email address.
Yeah, that's contact@linuxuserspace.show.
Bingo. So next time, we'll do ourselves another little bit of a topic or 2 or 3 or 12, but we also have some feedback. So Daniel, we got your feedback, but we didn't get to it this episode. We went a little long. I want to talk about it, though, and we're talking about creating an immutable distro using the Fedora bootc base and all of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot to be said on that. There's some history with that, turns out.
Yep.
And then we'll talk about that on the next episode, along with any of the other feedback that y'all send us. So I threw a y'all in there. So make sure y'all send us an email, and we can talk about whatever it is you want to talk about on the show. But in between shows, you can catch us on Twitter, Mastodon, Telegram, Matrix, Discord, Blue Sky, Threads, whatever. Give us your suggestions on our subreddit. That's our Linux user space, or on, what is it, C? It's C on Lemmy. C.
Yeah, it's C for like channel, I think.
Yeah, it's C News, but it's lemmy.linuxuserspace.show/C/news.
There's the open forum as well.
Yeah, that's called forum, so C forum as well. So go check us out on any of those places. Talk to us, give us more ideas. All of the links for the entire episode are in the show notes. Remember, linuxuserspace.show/604. So Dan, where can we find you in the meantime?
You can find me at least on Mastodon. You can find me at KC2BEZ at mastodon.social, or on Blue Sky, you can find me at monetaryabyss.social.
Good stuff. At Leo Chavez at mastodon.social is where you can find me on the old Mastodon. And of course, Leo Chavez, it's .org, but I think I'm probably like the only cool Leo Chavez over on Blue Sky. So you can find me over there with that handle, and I think pretty much anywhere else as well. So come back in 2 weeks and check us out. We'll have more Linux space. Come back in 2 weeks for more Linux user space. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Schedule? What do you mean schedule? Are we gonna butt up on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, we are, and that's a problem for me.
Okay. No, that's fine. I mean, it's a holiday. I get it.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna be traveling that week.
The whole week?
I mean, for the parts that we record, the days we record, yeah.
Absolutely not. Get it set up in the hotel. Bring a microphone with you. We're gonna get an episode done.
Yeah.
So that means, that means next episode. Oh, okay.
You're catching on now. Well, this we could avoid that way, right? If we did it like on the week that we would presumably be doing a live stream, December 2.
Yeah, no, that's okay. No. Okay, so what we can do Okay, so we're skipping the next one, but we can squeeze 2 episodes in if we do what you're saying.
Perhaps.
We can get one record on the 2nd or 3rd, one recorded on the 16th or 17th.
Yeah.
And then we'll break for the new year.
Right.
And then...
So that gets us 2 in December.
And then we can start back up on like the 6th, 7th.
Right. Yeah.
Or you know, maybe the next week, depending on if...
We'll see how it goes, but yeah. Does that make sense?
Okay. That makes a lot of sense, and I think that's the way to handle it.